Coach, congrats on the victory.
Thanks.
With the preseason out of the way now, what are you kind of focusing on when you're looking back at these games to kind of decide how this roster pans out over the next week?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot in terms of a lot's been poured into the personnel so far in the areas that we need him to work on. There's just great opportunities video wise, to kind of, show the ones that we're, trying to teach. I think in terms of the personnel stuff is, pretty close to obviously being done. And so this next week is, getting to your group. I'm looking at different segments of the game. The first group that was out there, first and the third quarter, we gave up 27 points in each of those first and third. So we're going to be talking about that. So we've got to solve that. I don't know that we could have scripted a better situation for us to be in. What we felt there at the end was, Courtney and BC and Fee obviously being the three that were a part of the group last year, kind of needed to get to that space where like it was time for them to win the game, right? And so their being in those situations, I thought was a growth point for them, because I don't know that we've had that to this point. It's kind of like looking for someone else to do something, that kind of stuff. And so I thought they really connected. And so I thought that was really good coming out of there, having gone through that experience. Glad they were able to win it. Yeah, I mean, there's I'm sure, Chicago feels the same way. Every day you get a chance to play a game, you just learn so much about your personnel and what's next. And so, like I said, we're close. I think we have a pretty good idea of what we're going to look like. And, now we just got to improve in a couple areas that for the first 2 weeks exposed, and try to get a little bit better and ready for Dallas.
And Jessica Shepard obviously stepping into the starting center role, almost had a triple-double tonight, offensively played awesome.
Yeah.
Just how much has she changed since the last time she was with the Lynx?
I don't think she's changed a lot. She looks a little fresher. She's not playing year round, so we're in the halfway point of her year round. She only played 23 minutes and almost got that triple double that you're speaking of. Jess is a very confident offensive player, very smart, as you saw with her passing, and defensively, it's a tough assignment. As you guys know, we don't have a lot of big girthy fives, type of thing, and but I think overall, I thought that obviously it was nice to have Jess back. It was good for our fans to see Jess on the court again wearing a Lynx jersey.
Last one for me, but Carly's been playing in that starting lineup in place of K-Mac. Just how beneficial has that been for her to get used to kind of that starting 4 plus Jess plus T rotation?
Yeah, I think it's good. Throw her into the fire. I'm sure she's very much like the others. She's a pleaser and stresses out about doing things the right way, and so hopefully these games of putting her out there and her being in that space, that now she's can settle in. She's felt it, and I thought that we had some players that really had good camps, that when they got their minutes today, there was a little bit more tightness. I don't know if it was the excitement of playing here, and obviously the crowd gets you pretty amped up, and but I thought Carly settled in and defended without fouling for the most part, which was an improvement over the last game.
Coach, second game in a row where Mariam Bediam came in the second quarter and felt like kind of settled things down defensively, and the group played better defensively as a whole. Mm-hmm. Added some rim protection, showed her three ball a little bit tonight as well. Just how do you assess her performance in these two preseason games and throughout training camp? Yeah,
she's another one. Just trying to figure it out. First time playing WNBA basketball, and our teachings and European basketball is different. And so just, I think, head spinning, you feel you're 30 years old and you feel like you haven't played basketball for a long time. And so she was kind of getting her feet under her, and just some of the things that we really locked in on doing, she's responded and has done well. And the one thing we're going to add is not passing over the top. We're going to add that, because she's got about 3 turnovers trying to do that in the 2 games. So, but again, she knows where to be. And as you mentioned, I want the 3-point shooting that she offers, and the length. And I thought her one-on-one defense was really good. And, she'll be pretty valuable on that side.
And before training camp a couple of years ago in 2023, we talked about turning the page to this new era of the team built around Fee and Fee being a captain and taking that step to be more of a leader, more vocal, but doing it in her way, in a way that's true to herself. Now that we're wrapping up a third preseason with her in the captaincy, how has her leadership evolved? And just, how much do you think she's grown in that area?
She's just so comfortable, comfortable in her skin, comfortable with the work that she's put in. She's always improving. She never thinks that she's arrived, and she just it's not. Sometimes especially early on, you had to mentor and sort of teach the captainship. Simone, Sil, myself. Now it's just coming out. She's not being prompted. Hey, this is where we need you. She's in there and she knows what needs to happen. And obviously she's experienced a lot. It comes easy for her. And I think that the team appreciates her leadership style. She's easy to be around. But when she needs to say something, she says it, and obviously she knows what she's talking about. And there's a healthy amount of respect there.
You look at the numbers, the ball movement, the assist total.
Yeah.
It seemed like you guys look more like yourselves and like you said, your identity on the offensive end, and the defensive end still needs a little bit of tweaking. Is that safe to say? Yeah,
it is. It is. I have to go back and look last year, but I think our defense was ahead of our offense last year, and I think largely because we did spend a lot of time in training camp. We have spent a lot of time. You would not know it, but we have spent a lot of time. I think we know what we have to clean up, and we'll be able to do that. I guess that's the good news. We're not looking for answers that we don't have. But yeah, I think that offensively we might be a little ahead of last year with, in ways that maybe we shouldn't be, given the newness of some of the players that are playing. I think this game obviously making more shots than we made last game, but 92 points when I don't think we necessarily played all that great. That's something to be excited about.
With the way the season ended last year, did the veterans who came back from last year come back with a renewed focus when they hit training camp this year? Kind of an intensity that maybe they hadn't had before?
I think they felt this, kind of want to about them. But I don't know that it's translated on the court at all times. And so it's connection, that, and again, we're missing some pieces that are a big part of, sort of the fabric of who we are. And that's some of it. There's a whole. And so that's why I felt so strongly about the last 5 minutes of the game, is because I think that group needed to get that